Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to Brain Division video. What I have guys today is something a little bit different. As you guys can see by the title, today I wanted to make a video talking about patch 1.9 and give you guys my opinions if I do think this patch is coming out, and if it is, some of the changes I'd like to see in the game if the patch is actually coming out. If you guys didn't know, about 5 or 6 days ago, I did have a live stream on my channel, and the whole pretty much objective of the live stream was to talk about patch 1.9 and give you guys my opinions and kind of get the input from you guys as well. There was a couple hundred people watching at the time, and we did have a lot of discussions, pretty much the changes we would like to see, and there was a lot of agreement, there was a lot of disagreement in the chat, but in conclusion, there was about 5 or 6 changes that everyone pretty much agreed on, and I'm pretty sure like 90% of you guys watching this video can agree as well. Anyways, if you guys do enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more videos, and let's get right into this. The first change I do want to mention is probably something 99% of people did agree with me in the stream, and I'm pretty sure most of you guys watching this video can agree with me as well. But what that is more loadouts in the game. As you guys know, with all the global events and pretty much just the classified gear in general, there's so many good builds, there's so many good setups you can make with a ninja bike backpack, or you could use the 5-piece or 6-piece classifieds and have insanely strong builds. The only problem I do find, and a lot of people find with this, is there's not really enough slots or loadouts in order to switch between for PvP or even PvE. Yes, you do have a stash, yes you do have an inventory in your backpack, but instead of just sitting there making that build in combat, if you're playing PvP or PvE, as I said, it would be a little bit easier if you could just switch to that loadout that you want. Now, don't get me wrong, 6 loadouts is good, and it's, you know, a lot of room to kind of experiment with and work with the different builds. But like I said, with this addition of classified gear, for example like Sentry, Striker, Nomad, Predamark, all those different builds, they're so good. It's just really, it's really discouraging having to put them in your stash or even in your inventory, just so you can have a little bit more room and experiment with different builds. Now in my opinion, 4 more loadouts would be great in the game, so in total 10 of them would fit perfectly. I heard some people talk about that 12 would be the perfect number, or even 14, but in my opinion that thing would be just a little bit too much, and as I said, maybe 10, maybe even 8, if they don't really want to include a lot of loadouts, that number would be perfect. The next change we talked about was survival, and don't get me wrong, this is not the biggest problem in the game right now. There is other problems that are way bigger, but I feel like this is something a lot of people can agree with me as well, that survival is just pretty much boring at the moment. Don't get me wrong, the first 5 or 6 times you play survival, it's really fun. It's really, I guess, entertaining to go in there for PvP or PvE and just have fun, explore, you know, kind of work together with your teammates. But after a little bit, it just gets really boring. And in my opinion, if they reworked or implemented one of the 2 solutions me and the chat kind of came up with, it would bring a little bit more life into survival, and it's just going to be something more people would probably enjoy. So the first thing is the reward system. The caches are great, don't get me wrong, they give you gear, they give you weapons, but it's not really something that you just want to go in survival and grind for and try to survive and stuff like that. If it was guaranteed like exotics, or a guaranteed exotic cache, or guaranteed this or that, I feel like it would have a bigger purpose to play survival. Or 2, if they actually changed up how it works and made it more of a battle royale. Now I do understand that this is a lot of work, and this is probably something that's not going to change with survival in the Division, but as I said, I'm just throwing out ideas out there. So if you have a different idea, if you have a different opinion of what you think should be changed in survival, let me know in the comment section below. I'm actually really curious. The next thing we talked about, and keep in mind this is probably the most discussed topic on the game at the moment, but what that is gear changes. If you go on Reddit, if you go on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube videos, YouTube streams, whatever it is, there's always a lot of people expressing their opinions about the gear changes and what they want to see in the future. Pretty much what me and the stream kind of came up with, and keep in mind this is open for debate in the comments, but what we came up with is something a little bit more simple in my opinion, and that is just leave everything how it is and just buff the crappy gear sets. For example, like Alpha Bridge, Tactician, maybe Firecrest, maybe Hunter's Faith, just any other gear set that's not really used a lot and a lot of people say is trash in the game for PvP or PvE, just pretty much buff it. Keep Striker, keep Nomad, keep Predamark how they are, because if you do buff Alpha Bridge, if you do buff Tactician, or change this or change that on those gear sets, it is going to be a little bit better, and in my opinion, it's going to be a little bit more balanced for PvP. For example, with Alpha Bridge, I know a lot of people always have kind of questions why they didn't make the 6-piece bonus just give you 3 extra talents on your weapon, how it was back in the game. I do think if they change it and pretty much make it how it was in the beginning of the game, this gear set will be very, very compatible with the Nomad, with the Striker, with the Predator's Mark. If you guys played the game back then and you remember how Alpha Bridge was with the 6 talents instead of this new change, you guys remember exactly what I'm talking about. For PvP, for PvE, that gear set and that build with the 6 talents on your weapon was absolutely insane. The final topic I do want to talk about is something a bit more relatable to the first one I did mention. As you guys know, I talked about the loadouts and how they should implement a bit more in the game. Well, the last change I would like to see is a different kind of perspective on the vendors and pretty much change how the vendor resets work. In my mind, right now, 99% of the players that go to the vendors and see what the vendors are selling are either 1, looking for better blueprints, or 2, are looking for better mods for the gear. They're not really looking for better gear, they're not really looking for better weapons, because obviously if you play the game, you will have good gear, you will have decent weapons. Yes, don't get me wrong, there's always a group of players that are new or coming back to the game that will find better masks or chest pieces from the vendors. But the majority of the people that go to the vendors at the moment only go there for the mods. Now, the solution I did come up with in the stream, and a lot of people seem to kind of agree with me and like the proposition, was for the vendors to include classified gear and different exotic weapons to be sold. Now, I'm not saying get rid of the old weapons, I'm not saying get rid of the old gear from each vendor. I am saying in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 different vendors, just have classified gear be sold. And as well with the exotics, something like the FAMAS, MDR, the Showstopper, just pretty much rotate the vendors with different exotic weapons. At least 1 different exotic weapon in like 5 or 6 different vendors would honestly help out, and it would make people want to go visit the vendors and see, because sometimes they might sell an MDR, sometimes they might sell a Showstopper with good talents that you probably are missing, and it's pretty hard to get. Like I said, I do understand it will kind of take away the grind and kind of take away the purpose of doing the legendary missions for the exotic caches and also grinding like resistance and underground, but that's the only solution I can pretty much think of for the vendors to make them a little bit more useful in the game at the moment. Once again, I am not saying take away the old gear and just implement classified gear in those slots. I am just saying have like 2 or 3 different classified gear pieces be sold from like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 different vendors on the map. I feel like this is something that would really change the concept of the vendor reset, and it would really help out with those players that pretty much have everything in the game. Anyways, that is it for the video. As I said, this is all just opinions, this is all just kind of discussions, and if you have a different opinion, if you have something else to say, let me know in the comment section below. You guys know I love interacting with you guys and replying to the comments and stuff like that. If it's a hate message, if it's a love message, as you guys know, it really doesn't matter. I always reply to my comments. Anyways, as I said, that is it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Trap house.